So my smoking hot wife, Kay, and I are sitting around the other night thinking about going out. So I said, I asked her, what do you want for dinner tonight? And she looked back at me and said, I don't know. What do you want? And of course, this went back and forth a little bit. I even asked the question, repostured the question by saying, well, where would you like to go tonight? And she didn't know the answer to that either. I don't know. Where would you like to go tonight? And then she came up with a very smart solution to the problem when she said, well, let's ask it this way. She says, what don't you want to have for dinner tonight? And then I'm able to say, well, I don't feel like going out for Mexican, I don't feel like going out for Thai food, I don't feel like going to this restaurant or something like that. And that was then we're able to narrow things down and finally come up with an answer. And how often does that happen to us? Not just with our spouses or other significant others, but also when we're out with friends and we're gonna go somewhere and we want to go out to dinner or something, and we get into this. Well, what do you want? And everybody's, well, I don't know. What do you want? So what is going on here, right? Well, the simple fact is that in many, many cases, we don't know what we want. Now, I'm of course using going to dinner as the example, but I could also be using working in business as the example. How often do we as businesses go out to our customer bases, or to our list of customers, and we ask them, what do you want? What can we do for you that will make you happier? What are we not delivering to you that you feel that you need? And in most cases, they don't know the answer to that. They don't know the answer to that. And the simple thing is that for the most part, people don't know what they want. People don't know what they want. And, all you have to do is think about things like nobody asked for the airplane when it was first developed. Nobody asked for the smartphone until it was developed. Nobody asked for the 8-track tape player that my dad worked on. Certainly nobody asked for the automobile. In fact, one of the most famous quotes about that came from Henry Ford when he said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So you see, that's a big issue with us today, especially in business, because very often we as businesses go out, like I said earlier, we go out to our customer bases thinking that we're going to ask them, what do you want? And then we're going to have some really valuable information to go back and use and say, oh, okay, how do we deliver this to them? When the fact is that they don't know what they want. In fact, Steve Jobs once famously said, a lot of times people don't know what they want until you show it to them. Now, that, of course, is a difficult situation because, it's one thing for us to give somebody what they ask for. It's another thing to come up with a completely brand new idea, like Steve Jobs did with the smartphone, with the computers, and all the other great stuff that they came up with that nobody asked for. See, and so that makes it really, really difficult for us to just go out and develop products and services without knowing whether people are going to pay for them or not. And in fact, a very, very great example, even though my dad developed the 8-track tape player, which, as it turned out, everybody wanted the 8-track tape player. But then when they developed the quadraphonic surround sound as a better product to compete with the Philips Electronics audio cassette, when they developed the quadraphonic surround sound, the bottom line was that people did not want that. And so that was a valuable lesson in the last thing you want to do is be good at something that nobody wants to pay for. So what do we have in this situation of how do we find out from our customers and our marketplace what do they want and what do they need? Well, the thing to understand is that the reason why people don't know what they want is because, for the most part, the way we think is we think in terms of comparisons, that we look for comparative opportunities. So when somebody asks us a question about doing something new or coming up with a new idea, very often we don't have a comparison to work from. Now this is known as heuristics. Heuristics is huge. I've been kind of a student of heuristics for a very, very long time, and I am fascinated by the fact that we are all kind of ruled by our heuristics. And what heuristics essentially is that the way we think and the way we believe and the positions that we take in our lives are based on you got both nature and nurture. You've got your family, maybe your DNA, and what's in the genes there that helps you to think a certain way. What do we learn from our parents, from our friends, from our teachers, from the books we read, things like that, these all start to develop the way we think. Now, heuristics, let me give you a more fancy definition of heuristics, and this might help explain it a little bit better, but basically, here's what heuristics is. Heuristics, this is where individuals assess probabilities based on their familiarity with a certain task, idea, or environment. Right? Humans attempt to frame a decision based on prior situations confronted and successfully negotiated. And this last one is very important. Individuals start at one place in a decision matrix and adjust from that initial point. So when we are asking people, what do you want? If we're not giving them a place in a decision matrix, right? If we're not giving them a point to start from, then they have a very, very difficult time going from that. So what makes it easy for people is when you reframe the questions, and you reframe them so that you're giving people a point of reference, or you're asking a different type of question. So, like, let's say the Henry Ford situation where he said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. But if he had instead asked maybe a question like what is it that you don't like about horses? What is it that are the negatives of horses? Or what don't you like about horse travel? What don't you like about depending on horses, when you're depending on horses? Because then you're going to start getting different answers. So if you ask the question from a perspective of, what they don't like or what they don't want or what they don't need, but in comparison with what they already have, then they might start coming up with something different. So this is basically reframing questions for people, and asking different types of questions of people that in a sense still give us the answers that we are looking for. So, and this came out from a discussion I had this morning with a client of mine who owns a very, very large trade show, and trying to make the trade show better. Well, you can't go out and ask people, what do you want to make the trade show better, or because they don't have a point of reference except for the trade show itself. So you see, then it's what don't you like about the trade show? So then they can give us answers like that. But if we want to go out and we want to create an event that is going to provide them with information, knowledge, exposure to new products, because this is essentially what a trade show is, or any type of an event similar to that. If instead we posture the questions by asking, what keeps you awake at night in running your business? What are the areas of your business that you would like to improve? How do you currently learn, and where do you go to learn how to make your business more efficient, more profitable, that type of stuff? Because those questions are now going to give us answers that we can go back and start to think in terms of can we create an event that will help answer those questions for them? Now, I use this same type of approach with my corporate clients as well. When they say, well, we want to find out, what our next product should be. What is it? And well, again, it goes back to, almost everything that we are developing for people, no matter whether we are in the B2B world or B2C world, we are there to improve their business or we are there to improve their lives. And it doesn't matter whether you are selling cereal or whether you are selling large machinery or you're selling medical devices or anything like that. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is help people be more successful and have better lives, better businesses. So when you go out and ask the question, what can we do better, or how do we improve, or what ideas do you have to help us help you? More often than not, they're not going to be able to ask that question. So think in terms of reframing your questions so that you are getting different answers, but you're reframing your questions so that you're giving them a point of reference that they understand and they go, oh, I can go from that point of reference. Use heuristics to your advantage. This is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad and marketing gunslinger. Thanks for watching my weekly video. I'll be back again next week. Appreciate you joining me. And in the meantime, always remember to be uncopyable. See ya.